Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Don't Tell Me How to Fan. My name is Josh Albrecht, and with me, as always, is my good friend John Taylor. Hi, John. How are you?
Hey, I'm doing well, Josh. How are you doing?
Oh,
Bunch of news broke today, huh?
yeah, man. All of these players signing with teams that aren't the Packers, which
Yep.
was not a surprise at all to me. It wasn't to me. Okay, this is just like not like if mainstream media is talking about a player, the Packers don't go and sign that player. It's what they do. They wait, and then they pay someone else that you didn't hear about, and then that guy ends up doing really, really well for the team.
Yep.
And then that's how it works, and that's how this worked again. So Devontae Adams is not coming back to Green Bay. He's going to LA. And
he signed with the Rams, 2 years, $46 million.
Yeah. And then DK, which wasn't a sign, I mean, it was a trade, but was traded from Seattle to Pittsburgh. And then it was reported that Pittsburgh is going to then immediately extend him 5 years, $150 million.
Yes.
Which the Packers were also never going to do.
I think at that contract and the compensation the Seahawks wanted, I mean, I just don't think that move was ever going to happen. I don't know. I take exception to this idea that the Packers don't pay for players or they don't try to trade. I just think we've experienced 30 years of incredible Packers like prolonged success because they don't make moves like this. You know, there were people pissed that we didn't give up a second round pick for Chase Claypool, and we you know, and he's out of the league. Will Fuller. These are all great examples of just like, you know, the Packers have a process and it can be frustrating. I take exception to that. I feel particularly burnt by this one, simply because the Packers need a wide receiver who can threaten the field vertically, period. I don't care who it is. It's just when you talk about guys in the league who were available or who could be available, DK was at the top of that list. I mean, his contested catch rate could be better, but he's a production monster. Like, he hasn't had less than 900 yards receiving in any season. He does a lot of things right. I think he does a lot of things that the Packers could use, but ultimately they are not paying a guy like that.
Right.
They're not. It's not even the money. I think he has earned $30 million, but it would never be a 5-year contract. The Packers would never do that.
That's what
unless
I'm saying.
There were like void years to just like unload it, which maybe that's what the Steelers are doing. But
I'm not saying that the Packers couldn't have used these players, that the Packers, you know, every year they're in on the conversation. Of course they are, because they know that they could fill a need, but the Packers aren't going to overpay. They aren't going to be one of these teams that throw a boatload of money at a player to get them. I don't remember the last time there was a situation where we heard Goody say, like, we were going to get him at any cost. It's just not the way that they work. It's not the way that the Packers organization works. It is how they have been forever. And so the second that, you know, ESPN came out and they started going, all right, T. Higgins, Myles Garrett, you know, whoever else, Devontae Adams, DK Metcalf, they started putting these names out here, and then everyone starts going, oh, well, who are these players? Do you think? It's never those players. It's never those players. And it's not because the Packers are bad. It's just that's not the way that they do things. They don't go all in on one guy. They wait. They're meticulous about it. They pick up a guy that you didn't talk about, that no one had on their radar. That's how they've always been. And I'm fine with that because it works.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, I'm right there with you. I would rather the Packers be good, you know, than
just get a player.
Then just get a player and then have to deal with the negative consequences of that. Because we trade for DK and we don't make the playoffs or something next year, and then everyone's pissed at Goody for the opposite reason. Free agency is a total damned if you do, damned if you don't. I think there's like plenty of fringe signings. I think there's plenty of big signings that could still happen too. I actually really didn't put much weight in the Devontae thing because I think, truthfully, both sides were a little more burned than they let on, but because
I agree,
because of the compensation they got back for him, I think it was just easier for everyone to pretend like it was okay. I think it would have been very hard to get Devontae Adams to come back. And at some point, you got to ask yourself, do you really want a guy over the age of 30 to come back into this room at this point in time? Probably not, and definitely not at 23 million a year. It's the same thing. Like they're just not going to pay these guys when really all they need is somebody who can. It's a man beater. They need a wide receiver who can beat man coverage. That's it. They do not need a DK Metcalf. It's just that it would have been awesome. So, we've been talking a lot of wrestling on the pod. I was doing some fantasy booking in my head about how cool that would be. But ultimately, maybe Watson is going to come back at week 12, like his dad said. There's already photos of him like on the treadmill. Like, I think there's a very good chance we see, I don't know. I think like we could see an MVS back in Green Bay. That reunion seems to make way more sense. He's somebody who is physical, can get it downfield. He does not drop the balls. Well, not at any rate that's any worse than what the Packers were doing last year. He'd fit right in.
Super fair.
But what I would say is it's the same thing he did when he was with us when Aaron Rodgers is still the quarterback. He didn't need to be targeted. It truly just is opening up the middle of the field. Right now, we cannot have Bo Melton be the guy running 40 yards downfield and expect the defense to sell out the middle of the field to protect the deep shot against them with that player specifically. So I think they will do something. I think, like I said, I think I was on record a couple episodes saying it's way more likely that they attack the pass rush and like the cornerback situation, especially
which is what I want.
I just don't think Jair's coming back. And so, I mean, even if they don't sign wide receiver, there's plenty of options in the draft. Like, it's just like people are acting like we have a game next week and we don't have a roster that's competitive. And it's like, well, first of all, the roster already by nature is competitive. And second of all, there's still so many different avenues to add players. Like, we're talking about the last little bit before free agency hits. Like, we're not even in free agency yet. This isn't even the legal tampering period. So, go ahead.
My big thing was the people thinking that this was going to be different. And I got frustrated with that because I was like, I don't think you understand then the thought process. Everyone was like, well, look, Aaron Rodgers isn't there. They don't have the contract. They don't have his cap hitting them. They have money to play with. Now's when Goody's going to be aggressive. Now's when he's going to go and overpay for one of these guys. Just watch. And I'm like, no, stop. No, that's not what he does. That's not what the Packers do. The Packers don't do that. They're not going to do that again. They're going to be fine. They're going to end up getting someone. It'll be someone I go, okay, all right, this will probably be fine. It won't be a sexy pick. It won't be a guy that's making me run to the pro shop to get a jersey made. It'll be someone that, like, by game 4, I'm going, what a stud. Like, that's what it'll be, because that's how it usually goes. And so, the big thing too was when everyone was talking about the freed up cap space and everything else. Remember when Bakhtiari was talking about, I don't know if it was about him or Rodgers' contract or something, but he was like, if they want the player, they'd find a way to get it done. Like, everyone worries about the cap. Everyone worries about contracts, all this other stuff. If they want the player, they'd find a way to get it done. That's just proof that the Packers don't care about the player that much. They're not going to be one of these teams that takes all this risk for a potential reward. They've never been that way. They're not going to be that way. They'd rather take their shot in the draft, which I'm sure will be the majority of their plan again this year. So, I'm not bummed about anything that's happened today, by the way. Not bummed about any of it. I will be upset if we get to the draft and our plan for a pass rush is now to draft and develop. I would like someone who's played football already professionally to be signed to this team to help the pass rush. That I would like. But that wasn't going to happen today anyway. So
yeah, totally. I think I just want to highlight a few things. I always say that they're going to spend money because the Packers have spent money when they've had money, right? There's been really 3 big times where he's been able to. It's like the year he got Jimmy Graham and Muhammad Wilkerson in an offseason. I forget what year it was. But then they got Adrian Amos, both Smith brothers, and Billy Turner in 2019, or was that 2018? Anyways, around that time. And then last year they got Xavier McKinney and Josh Jacobs. And they paid Xavier McKinney like a top safety. That's like my whole thing. Is like, I think if they can justify the value in what they're getting in a player, like, you know, when you buy a house and you say, I think I might have even said this already, but you talk about like it's got to have price, location, or condition, right? Those are like the big three things. And most people, when they buy a house, you have to hit at least two. I think the Packers feel the same way about players. They either need to be young, they need to be very good, or they need to, or like good or have potential, let's call it. And they need to have like the contract needs to make sense. And in a lot of situations, I don't think it makes sense. Like Xavier McKinney, all three. Josh Jacobs, I mean, all three. He had a down year, so you could say maybe the performance was what knocked down his value. But I just think like when it makes sense for the Packers, they do, and it's not like it's always going to be like, yeah, we picked up some like third stringers that you just never heard of. It's just like they weren't a part of the super big free agent stuff that happened last year either. You know, they Xavier McKinney. So it's just, you know, I think there's plenty of good guys. There's Khalil Mack is still out there. If you want to talk about a guy who might just be like a hired gun for a year and see what happens, like there's a track record of the Packers, not Goody, but you look at like Julius Peppers. I mean, even bringing Charles Woodson in the first time, he was on the older side. Like they're not opposed, and they're definitely okay with skirting some of their like there are certain thresholds the Packers will not cross in terms of like height, weight, size, and like athleticism in the draft, and those measurables kind of go out the window when a player comes to the league and produces. So you see players like DJ Reed being small, but he produces as an NFL cornerback. So it's like, are they in play? I've seen reports of that. Probably. The free agency is not crazy. There's plenty of pass rushers. There more and more are getting released. So it's like there are options. I'm hoping it's not all bargain bin players, you know. But I mean, I guess I'll say this: what would your ideal free agency look like? If you had to like actually name players, what would you want to see? Let's say like,
and that's the thing is that like, I mean, especially what was in our control, like when the reports were out there immediately, and everyone was talking about the wide receivers, and I wanted Garrett. I wanted Garrett more than anything. I was like, that was all I wanted. Like first round pick and whatever else we need, get Myles Garrett in Green Bay, please. And the fact that Garrett was like on record saying that it's not about the money, it's about his legacy, and he wants to play for a winning team, blah, blah, blah. I was like, okay. Mm-hmm. I mean, like he said, like, goodbye to Cleveland. So this might be a situation to where if the Packers were going to be aggressive, they were going to be that team that took a chance, that would be the guy I wanted. And then the Browns were like, how about if we give you all the money? We know you said you don't want the money, but what about if we give you all the money?
Yeah.
And Myles Garrett was like, that sounds really good. Fuck legacy. Pay me, please.
Right.
I'll sign right here.
You know what? I will take the largest contract ever given to a non-cornerback in the league.
Yeah, that sounds fantastic.
Yeah, I'll take that.
So, you know, like that was from like the big names, the big people, like that was the one that I wanted. So like that got me the most butthurt. But even then it wasn't like another team offered him just a crap ton of money. It was the only team that had the ability to offer him a crap ton of money. So I don't know. But besides that, other people that I'm not even sure 100% of who the big top names are. I know we've talked about Mac, which I'm fine with, but also my brain's telling me that won't happen because people are talking about it.
Well, him specifically would be one, I think, where you would say like, he's not going to get signed tomorrow. I mean, I guess I could be wrong. My guess is that it's going to be a week or two. Like that's one where it's like people don't want to pay for an older guy. And so people will just go, oh, okay. I think for me, the ideal, like if we pick up two guys like we did last year with X and Josh Jacobs, it would be Josh Sweat from the Eagles. I think he's like a really young, productive player who the Eagles just unfortunately can't pay. So it's like a perfect situation for us. Also, they've got studs up and down that defensive line. So it's like he's just not a guy that's going to get a contract there no matter what. And then I always forget how do you say his this is riveting. Paulson Adebo. Yeah, it's Paulson Adebo. And sometimes I know it's Adebo, but when I have to start adding Paul and Son to a first name, I get very confused. From this, I think he would be an excellent addition. And the only reason he's getting let go is because of the crunch that the Saints have from kicking the can down the road for like 15 plus years with Drew Brees. So those are my two guys. I think that would be like of the equivalent of how excited I got when I heard we got Xavier McKinney. You know, we've litigated this over and over again, so we don't have to. I was intrigued by the Josh Jacobs sign, and I was not surprised that they couldn't keep asking Aaron Jones to keep taking pay cuts.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not surprised he went somewhere else. So I was like, okay, we got the guy, and I'm not surprised they couldn't make this work, and they weren't going to keep him at the 16 million they owed him. So this all made sense to me. As long as the moves make sense, I can get over it pretty quickly. So, you know, I would say even like what's insane is what I'm about to say, but an MVS signing, I'd be like, great. There's other more talented guys. Like, it is what it is. I just mean like it just allows everybody else to do their job, and that's like what I'm really concerned about. And MVS is a hell of a blocker too, which is like a really big deal. So
that's true. Can I say something about Aaron Jones quick?
Yeah, re-signed.
Aaron Jones re-signed with the Vikings, 2-year, $20 million.
Mm-hmm.
And that contract made me, I can't believe I'm saying this. It was probably good they let him go. The Packers let him go. I mean, because I was on the hill of they could have paid both, keep both, but they weren't going to keep him again this year. And they sure as hell weren't going to extend him for another 2 years and 20 mil. So what you were really saying is Aaron Jones being with the Packers with Jacobs, and then we would have still fell short like we did. And then what?
Yeah.
And then we would have been in the same exact spot. There's no way also that I think that if Jones was here and did take the money here, but had to split time with Jacobs, that Jones gets enough production to make a case for that type of contract anywhere.
No.
So truly, I think if the Packers organization did love Jones, this made the most sense to let him go. He proved that he could still be worth something. I don't think that the Vikings should have paid him that much. I think that was kind of a crazy deal to bring him back for 2 years, $20 million. I think that was more than he was probably worth. But I love the man, and so I'm glad he's still playing football.
Yep. Yeah. Do we want to talk about some of the signings the Packers did make this week?
Sure.
They signed Isaiah McDuffie to a 2-year. Is it $8 million?
I don't know.
It's an interesting contract because it does make it seem like that is like backup third linebacker on a 4-3 defense, even though we primarily should be in big nickel. It's a pretty healthy amount of money for a position that you hope you don't see
on the field
a lot. Yeah. But it is one of those things where the cap went up. I do wonder if there's like a part of it. I mean, him and Eric Wilson were slotted to be free agents this year, and now I wonder is this the year Eric Wilson is just going to be let go? They'll let him, explore free agency. They could always maybe sign him back, but I do wonder. It's just like my thing that I saw, and I just hope isn't true, but maybe it is because of when they drafted him is wasting the pick of Tyron Hopper in the 3rd round. Is that really going to come back and bite him in the ass? Like that pick was kind of insane to me when they drafted him. And is this a sign that maybe they were like, ooh, maybe he's not as ready to go as he should, that's like the thing I'm always concerned about. Yeah. Third pick. He's the 91st pick in the 3rd round. And everybody was like,
Packers always kill it with 3rd round picks. So
yeah. But there is that conversation about feeling like we reached, people had like a 6th round grade on him. And is this McDuffie signing a signal of that? I don't really know. I don't know how to take it one way or the other. With the cap being what it is in our cap room, I just don't really care that much. But they did re-sign him.
I took it as a big snooze burger. I was like, okay, cool. Yeah. McDuffie's back. Fine. Moved on. Like I seriously, like, I was like, I don't care one way or another. I don't love it. I don't hate it. It's just whatever. Move on.
A total snooze, apparently. And then the good news. Well, the other news, we re-signed Brandon McManus to a 3 years, $15 million total. So at least for now, knocking on wood, he proved he could kick in the elements. I mean, he definitely
keep that up.
Yeah. I mean, it was nice not having to worry about the kicking position for the first time in several years.
Yeah.
Post Crosby, who retired officially as a
Yes,
Packer
he
this
did.
week,
Which,
coming
can we
together.
talk about that for a second?
Yeah.
First of all, love Mason. Love it. Talked about it on the podcast. If you listen back on the radio show, love him. Love Mason Crosby. Was there any doubt he was going to retire a Packer? Like, was
No, I
that
don't.
ever in question? Like
I don't think so.
it was just like Mason Crosby makes official announcement that he's going to retire a Green Bay Packer. I was like, you can just say retire from the NFL. Like, we all know that like that last contract is going to be with Pat. Like,
Like a
he was
one
here.
day. Just to,
His,
yeah,
right.
yeah,
His whole career was here. He had
yeah,
what, like 3 games where he actually kicked the ball for a different team.
yeah.
You know, but
Well, I do
I'm
wonder
still
if
happy to
people
see
are.
it. But
Yeah, same. Yeah, and his press conference was fantastic. I mean, he had nothing but great things to say, and it's awesome. Yeah, he's one hell of a kicker, one hell of a guy. I'm just happy. I'm happy that some people understand it's a business in the best way, and I think Mason got that. We just needed to explore something else. He couldn't kick. His kickoffs weren't where they needed to be. The accuracy started dipping a little bit. You take a swing on a guy that you're excited about in Anders Carlson, that doesn't pan out, and then you bring in a bunch. So there is this funny thing, but ultimately, now that we've got our kicker for the next couple of years sorted, it's great to celebrate Crosby. Nobody's doing that like annoying what if or like where is he? Could he come back type thing. So yeah, I'm happy for him.
yeah,
I'm really, really happy for him. So
me too. Go play some golf, brother.
Yeah, well,
Enjoy it.
after his radio show, right? So
yeah, which then I think he goes and plays golf.
Yeah,
Like
makes sense. That makes sense.
Loves golf.
Yeah,
but yeah, so that's kind of where the Packers are at right now.
Yeah, hopefully we'll have a lot more things to talk about next week. Talking about new Packers, they will sign people. Like I said, they might not be marquee names. Yeah, this is off the top of your head. I'm going to do this to you. Any player you think they might sign that you're not expecting, like wild card, like still like maybe available. Any thoughts?
No.
Okay.
Hold on. I mean, especially if it's people that I don't think. Not really. Let me put it this way: if it's a household name, I don't think he's going to be there.
Okay.
I don't think they're going to go after someone, which is why I also don't think that Mac will be there. Even though, like I said, I'd like that. I don't see that being a. I don't see that being a thing. So, no. It's not that I don't mind being put on the spot. I really don't know that there's a person looking at players that are available that I go, man, I would be surprised to see someone there.
Yeah. There were reports, was it last week, earlier this week, March 5th? Yeah, so it was this week that Packers could make a big push for Deo. I'm going to Odeyingbo. Sorry for butchering that name. But he's a pass rush. He's an edge specialist from the Colts, and I think that is.
I don't know who that is, so there's a good chance.
Yes, well, it's one of those things that he tested off the charts. He was dealing with some injuries. He has produced in a way that I think they could bet on some upside. I mean, he's 6'6", 286 pounds, so the dude is big in the way that they like for defensive end.
That's a perfect pick, John.
Yeah,
that's a perfect example. It's someone I don't know. It's someone who people that do know would say, yes, well, this guy is a beast. Of course he was going to be a beast. But because he's not a guy that was going to be overpaid or be, have 12 teams potentially going after him, would fit exactly in what the Packers do. So, yeah, I could see that. I mean, let me rephrase. I could have seen that. Now that you talked about it, it probably won't happen.
Yeah, now it probably won't. But
yeah, but it would have been really good. It would have.
Yeah, I should have not said anything. Yeah. So we'll see. Yeah, they're signing guys. Period. So
they're going to sign someone. Yeah, it's just not going to.
And they're going to address the quarterback room. We'll see. We will.
Hey, speaking of the quarterback room, you
Yeah.
see these reports of Aaron Rodgers being in the mix to somehow end up in Minnesota.
Yeah, I just, they have a suspect interior offensive line. He looks cooked after his Achilles. I mean, in terms of like history repeating itself, that's hilarious, but I don't think he's carrying that team to an NFC North. And they're just burning another year of JJ McCarthy's. So it's just like,
That was my thing. If they're not signing Darnold, they're gonna Rodgers is gonna go and be a backup in Minnesota to JJ McCarthy. So that's not happening. But I loved with everything else going on that little piece of juice got thrown into the
of course
sphere as well.
I think there's a really good chance Aaron Rodgers ends up a Pittsburgh Steeler. You go all in for DK. You technically have George Pickens. There's like early whispers like, are they going to try to move Pickens? Is that why they went and got DK? Either way, it's a pretty stacked wide receiver room, and you don't really have a quarterback who could throw to him consistently. So it's like there is it would be interesting. And the Steelers were a favorite for Rodgers, and it's starting to look more and more appealing for Rodgers in the first place. I think it's interesting that Geno got traded to the Raiders.
I thought that was
fully
weird.
blowing it up. So I mean,
why did that happen? That felt weird to me. I just Seattle was satisfied with. Maybe they weren't ecstatic, but I thought they were satisfied with Geno's play.
I just don't think they were going to extend Geno, and I think after releasing Lockett, and I just think they're realizing their team is not really in a spot to be competitive. They got a 3rd round draft pick for him, so you might as well take what you can get and then move on. So they're in a bit of a rebuild here. So so it's interesting.
Okay.
So anyway, that's enough football for an offseason.
So much football. Boy,
sorry.
Oh boy. Yeah, we got to get to.
I mean, free agency is exciting because it's the most what if. It's the most what if about it.
But free agent hasn't started yet. Free agency hasn't started yet, right?
Yeah, but it starts tomorrow. We didn't lose free agency because it hasn't started yet.
It started. It started,
but it's not over, is my point.
Of course it's not over.
Are some doom and gloom people saying the Packers are sitting on their hands, and it's like they're still like Chris Godwin is still available. Like,
he's not going to become a Packer.
He's not. But I'm just saying it's not like that there were 3 guys who were talented and the rest are like G League players if we're like transitioning to basketball. But yeah. No, speaking of basketball,
that was my whole thing. Last point on this, and then we'll get to basketball. I agree with you. The Packers are going to sign someone. It's going to be someone I don't know, and it's going to be someone who will be decent to great. And that is what will happen. I won't know who they are. People will be like, how do you not know that guy? I don't know, because I don't know every freaking guy. And then that's how that'll go. Okay, Bucks basketball. So Bucks have been doing great.
Yeah,
I've been enjoying Bucks basketball, especially when Giannis hits milestones, which he scored his 20,000th point and did them all for the Milwaukee Bucks, which was also cool. Did you see the video of Giannis watching the video package that they put together? It's definitely like during the game, and you just see like this is staring at the screen watching. I was like, I love this man so much.
You can hear Doc in the background calling Giannis to like learn the play, or he's like, Giannis, get back here. He said it in the presser too. He was like, Giannis is up there watching himself on the video board, and I'm trying to draw a play. And then Giannis in his post game presser was saying like, come on, Doc, it's one play. I know the play. Like, let me watch this video. So
God, Giannis is the best.
He's the best. He's the absolute best.
I love him so much.
And the fact that he scored 20,000 points, doing it all basically from the 2-point range. I mean, he's made like 500 and something threes in his career. So all of those points are 2 points. Like that is efficiency at the rim at an absurd level. So it's really cool. I'm glad that it was done in Milwaukee so they could roll out that package. The lack of fanfare about it is annoying. He's like the 6th youngest player to ever reach that milestone. And the list is pretty incredible of the guys who did it before him. It's like LeBron, Kobe, Jordan, Kareem. So pretty good list if you ask me.
Not bad.
So, he's already been in elite company. And now he's like a top 50 all-time scorer with the points that he put up at the start of the game. We're currently recording during the Bucks game. They started off pretty competitive, and then the Cavs the Cavs kind of blew it open in the second quarter here. A lot of bad turnovers. I mean, it's just the schedule is so tough. They're playing like the fifth toughest schedule in the league in the month of
Mm-hmm.
March. And, a lot of back-to-backs. They lost to Orlando last night, which is frustrating. And now they're looking tired and slow because that was the game they really should have won. So it's just not great. That all being said, I feel really positive about the team right now. I don't know about you. There's this
Yeah.
fun stat. There's this fun stat where before the All-Star break, the Bucks had not scored, had multiple like double-digit scorers, like more than 6 or something. They only did it like 7 times, whatever that stat is. Double-digit scoring for a specific number of players. I think it was 6. And they've done that 7 times since the All-Star break. So you can't tell me these pieces, as sad as it is to see Chris go, they have come in and they've helped. KPJ scored a triple-double in under 20 minutes earlier this week. I think it was against the Nuggets. No, it was against Dallas. It was against Dallas on the 5th because the Dallas couldn't field it like literally anybody. But yeah, dude, they have 2 back-to-backs this week. The schedule sucks. It's such bullshit. The schedule.
Yeah, I'm not reading into the schedule or what happens in the next 6 games.
Yeah.
Like I like the way that they're playing. I like that Giannis is happy. You know, there seems to be Giannis likes winning, and they're finding, you know, so enjoying what's happened the last 3 weeks has been great. I've been a huge fan of that, and it'll get there. You know, I'm not gonna look at this Bucks team playing right now and go, well, you know, they got trounced by the Cavaliers on March 9th. So, you know, God, I hope we don't face them or this team's screwed. Like, I'm not reading into that. It's just, you know, just keep doing what they're doing. And then when it gets closer to playoff time, then I'll start worrying if there's something to worry about. But right now they're still figuring it out and they're doing a good job with it.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm really encouraged. I'm really encouraged by the bench unit of like what they've been running Giannis and Dame pretty like together a lot, which has helped. You know, they're the highest scoring duo in the league right now, and that's like criminally not spoken about enough. They're both averaging over like 28 points a game. But yeah, I think or 28 and 26. Some absurd stat. And then I just think like Kyle Kuzma, man, the athleticism really jumps off the page. You know, I think he's a willing basketball player. He's doing a lot of just a lot of winning plays, hustle plays, and he's scoring. His 3-point shot, you know, still isn't great, but if he can hit the ones that are free to him, it's going to be a huge help. Right. And I think the Kevin Porter Jr. and I think the Bucks players were saying it sneakily. One of maybe the best trade of the trade deadline, you know, scandal noted. That's a fun thing I learned from a podcast host I listen to when we're talking about people. Scandal noted, but he plays for the Bucks. He's playing really, really well. And I don't know if that's going to persist, but right now it's the shot in the arm they needed. It's athleticism. The bench unit of KPJ, Gary Trent, AJ Green, Kyle Kuzma, Jericho Sims has found his way into the lineup, and they're all playing really well, and it's a huge spark of energy. So
keep it going.
Yeah, I mean, they're not losing. You know, the biggest thing about the Bucks was they were like getting murdered in third quarters when Chris was having to be the only like main guy off the bench. And then you look at him and Bob, and they're both just kind of like microwave ISO scorers, and it's like, go figure. So you get some guys in who can play together and just like really just like when Jericho Sims is on the floor, the Bucks can switch 1 through 5. And that's like really exciting. That is like really, really important in modern basketball. And it's really exciting. So like you said, I like watching them win because if we're doing like standings watch, I want them to be the 4th more than the 5th. They're a full game up on the Pacers. Pacers haven't been doing great. There's those reports Jalen Brunson's going to be out for a couple weeks. He'll be back by the time I think the Bucks play him, but there is an opportunity to make back that 3.5 games. They have the tiebreaker. So it's basically 4 full games we'd have to make up. Like it's not going to be easy, but it's also not impossible. You know, there is a lot of games left. So I want to see him winning for a myriad of reasons. But, you know, I just like them staying the 4 seed means that they're going to play the Cavaliers in the second round, and that's going to be tough. And I think the Packers, I think the Bucks match up well against the Cavs, but the Cavs are on another planet right now. They feel like the 2019 Bucks, where it's just like, yeah, this is, or like, I guess the 2020 Bucks before the COVID stop down, where it was just like, yeah, we're the best team in the league, and what are you going to do about it? You know, and it's like, you know, that, so good for them. But that's, you know, I still say Giannis is the best player on the Eastern Conference. No one can argue that. So
well, apparently a lot of people can, because Doc went out and literally said, I feel like Giannis isn't getting enough respect.
Sure.
Like he's putting up an MVP type season,
Totally.
and no one's talking about it.
I just think they are. Yeah, I guess I just mean specifically in the playoffs, you got to get through the Eastern Conference before you can face the West.
Sure.
So it's like, I just mean like when you talk about like between him and Dame, they're going to have in most matchups, two of the best three players on the team are going to be Bucks, and I like those odds. So they just got to figure out ways to win and get gritty. And as we're talking about this, I just watched Kuzma hit a wide open three. So yeah, we'll see how this game goes. But they're fighting. I still don't love Torian Prince at the 2. I don't understand it. We have not really won any of the first quarters.
Didn't I tell you that you were like, what do you think they're going to change? And I said, Doc's not going to change anything.
Yeah.
Isn't that what I said?
You did say that.
Okay.
So, but I think they like it. It just
he's going to force it to work. Is what he's going to do.
I don't think they're concerned about the score that early in the game when the bench unit plays as well as they do. I think they like the way the bench comes off, and I just think they like leaning into the size, and they're just going to hopefully tire these guys out with their size before they get to the fourth. And so,
sure,
we'll see. I don't know, but yeah, they've been playing great. So that's all I got for Bucks talk at the moment.
Let's talk.
Wait, there was some transaction news. Ryan Rollins got converted for the rest of the season. I thought that was interesting. It was not a multi-year deal. It was the end of the season, which I thought was interesting. They'll have bird rights to his contract, but he's not like a restricted free agent, which is interesting. So I thought he would have played well, that they would have tried to keep him for another year or two. But I think it just kind of speaks to the idea that I think they think Kevin Porter Jr. is the one to keep around, which is fine. I mean, he's playing so well. Yeah, he's playing so well.
Right, and then like this, making an easy decision.
Yep. And then Liam Robinson, he got that NBA Cup money to buy that house in Iowa, and now he's gonna have to go do that because he got released. I don't know. He might have been picked up by somebody else, but he got released, and then they signed Pete Nance, Larry Nance Jr.'s brother, who actually played with the Cavs, but he hasn't played, I think, even in the G League. He's been dealing with an injury. So just trying to add, I think, a little more front court depth. I think Pete Nance has been found out to be closer to an NBA player than Liam Robbins was, because it was pretty bad in the minutes he was playing. It's a fun story about the NBA Cup. He looked pretty good in Summer League, but it did not translate to potential on the court when he was playing minutes in garbage time or, whatever, when he found his way onto the NBA court. So that's kind of it. I mean, they don't have another spot open. They technically could do a hardship contract with Bob being out. After 4 games, you can sign people. It's like a hardship. So they could do like a 10-day, but if it ain't broke, don't fix it. It seems to be.
Yeah, I was going to say, they don't need to do that, so don't focus on that. Just keep focusing on, your main guys and having them gel the way they have been.
Yeah,
finding ways to make the magic happen.
Yeah.
Speaking of people being out, though, transitioning to the Brewers.
Yeah.
And baseball, some Aaron Ashby down.
Yes.
Injured in spring training, which was not positive because it's spring training, and so you never want to, especially be like, okay, cool. So this guy's not even going to make it to opening day.
Yeah, he shut down for 2 weeks after a second opinion on, I think it's like an oblique injury. I can't.
So it'll be close, but yeah.
Yeah, it's an oblique strain. Yep. So. Yeah, that's annoying. At the same time, though, there was reports morning of that injury that Jose Quintana signed for what, 1 year? Is it 2 years, $5 million with it's 2 years. If you want to look up the details, I'm pretty sure it's like 2 years, $10 million with a mutual, a mutual option for a buyout for $2 million. So it basically just means they're going to buy him out if he plays well, if he pitches well.
4.25 mil
with incentives. Yeah. That would get it up to 5.
It went away, and then the story closed. I'm trying to find out how many years. Hold on.
Classic.
Yeah, well, anyway, I don't mind that.
Yeah, he's a good lefty. I mean, listen. Yeah, 1 year. Yeah. There's always those conversations about Quintana. They called him like a Brewers killer, and I don't know if he didn't particularly pitch well against them in the playoffs, but he wasn't bad. He's a serviceable lefty. We had Dallas. I want to remind everyone, we had Dallas Keuchel pitching for us. We had like 19 different guys start. So it's like, get guys in who can come in and pitch, and let's just like keep doing it that way. It's a very Brewers-y move, I think, to sign the only guy several weeks after spring training started. But from what it appears to me, it sounds like that they had been in conversations with Quintana's camp for a while. Like they wanted him, and they felt like they could get him on a year deal for $5 million. So happy that happened, especially with the Ashby injury immediately. I wasn't convinced that Ashby was going to start. He had a bit of a rough debut in spring training, and there was all those conversations in the offseason before last year about, is Ashby going to be the guy to start? He didn't. He got called down to AAA. They said one day it clicked, and when Ashby's on, he's got a super intriguing pitch mix. He's got like a really nasty movement, and so we'll see. But they've got a lot of options. Craig Yoho seems to be tearing it up. Mizorowski got a start on the mound, so hopefully some of these guys can make the roster, and we can kind of start talking about these prospects we've been excited about for years and years and years. So.
Did you see that Quintana's going to wear 62?
I didn't. So we got 52 and 62.
I'm just seeing the story right now on SI.com that for the first time since 2007, someone is going to wear the number 62. The last was Grant Balfour in 2007, and the last Brewer. Or the current Brewer, I should say, that was wearing that number was a bullpen catcher.
Nice.
Bullpen catcher was wearing that, and they said that he's going to have to find a new number. Adam Weisenberger. Sorry, Adam.
Poor Weisenberger.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's funny. 62. You're going to get a 62 jersey? It's like a easy one to avoid, I feel.
Something tells me, good for him. He's like, I don't need a good number. I'm not going to be here long. No one's going to buy this jersey.
Yeah, don't trade your number for me. It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. I don't even know what he wore.
For a year.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, and baseball opening day will be here before we know it. By the way, can't wait for that. It was a beautiful day outside today. It was.
Yeah, what was it like in Wisconsin today?
Weather.
Yeah,
it was like, I felt like 50.
Whoa, cool.
I know. I don't know if it actually hit 50, but it felt that way. Sun was out. It was beautiful. All right, before we end this thing, hey,
you're not even going to ask me like what weather was like in Portland today? That's messed up.
Why? It rained.
Because I'm your dear friend. No, it's been sunny all weekend, and it's been over 60 degrees. It has.
When was the last time it was sunny for 3 days in a row where you live?
Last week. It doesn't happen often in the wintertime.
That's what I'm saying.
But it happened, and that's why I wanted you. You should have at least asked.
Okay,
I'm a
bad friend.
I don't. I'm glad someone said it.
Did you get out and do anything in that weather?
Yeah, I rode my motorcycle and went out and had coffee outside, went on a couple walks with the dog. I have a tiny little corgi named Bev.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, it's pretty great. Yeah. But anyways, I did enjoy it. So
okay, good.
Thanks for a lot.
Yeah, buddy. Of course, I'm always here for you. Also, I couldn't ask you something nice because I was waiting all episode to tear you down.
Tear me down.
Last episode,
like it's not scripted entertainment. Tear me down.
It doesn't matter. Last
down.
episode, I gave John all of the credit, which he was due for correctly calling so many matches at Elimination Chamber. And then he said, and watch what they do with Rhea, Rhea going to WrestleMania as champion, blah, 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 blah. And less than 24 hours later, she loses the title on Monday Night Raw.
Yeah. Hey, man, can't bat 1,000.
They were watching the podcast.
Yeah, and they were like, they were too
big we're gonna fuck with John right now.
Yeah.
You're losing the belt.
Yeah. EO rules. I'm not mad about it. I guess I just think like it seems weird to just like shoehorn this into leading up to
it's a new Triple H way, man. Keep them on their feet.
Keep them on their toes. I mean, I'm into it.
Everyone was talking about John Cena leading into Monday night, and then all the headlines changed to Rhea Ripley loses.
Yeah, you're riding that like that momentum of having extra eyes on. Like watching Rhea lose is also kind of surprising, and that's also newsworthy. So you're just kind of keeping that news train going. I just think like when Io Sky makes her presence known during Elimination Chamber after Bianca wins, There's 3 of them up there. When you watch Bianca push Rhea into the ring and Jessica Carr, the official, does not call disqualification, that also feels weird to me. So they're mark my words, they're setting it up for some sort of like triple threat match. They're going to get.
You think this isn't done?
I don't think it's done at all.
Okay.
But I think it's important. I think it's an important storytelling. I think you can't bill Rhea like she's the Brock Lesnar of the women's division. She's just like, there isn't enough talent on the roster to make up for that. She needs to be wrestling more than what she is right now. You can't treat her like a prize fighter. It's just not that good. And I think for the first time in a long time, she's been having so much stuff happen to her. The Judgment Day betrayal, the Liv constant betrayal. I just think it'll be interesting to see a storyline that revolves around her. Did you see the promo or the interview post episode with Jackie Redmond? No. If you haven't, you should watch it because I know before we started, you were saying you don't think Rhea is super great on the mic, and I don't disagree. It's not my favorite. I think the idea of Rhea Ripley sometimes is better than the execution. I think but I will say,
if you say that, yeah,
I will say, it's the best work she's done on the microphone, and it's because it's her looking inward and like critiquing herself and just kind of talking about her experience, like feeling like isolated and alone now that Damian Priest left, kind of. And I think it's like really brilliant storytelling by the WWE because they had Charlotte Flair a month ago on Raw saying, "You're still a child. You're just as immature as you've ever been." And she like scoffed at that. And then you watch this match where she's in Bianca's face. She's like pissed off that she's cheering for Io and not her. And so it's like she like kind of addresses all of that in the promo. So it's really good. You should look it up. Yeah. It's awesome. Okay. So I'm excited for that run. Listen, I watch wrestling like they talk about belts behind the scenes. It's just a prop. I don't really care. Yeah. I don't need Rhea to be this dominant champion. I just want her involved in interesting storylines. And she's been fairly uninteresting. And when that's the case, then you want her winning. Like I want Rhea winning if they're not going to include her in anything. But if you're going to do something with her creatively, then she doesn't need the belt. Like when she was chasing Liv back, trying to get more concerned about like what was up with the Dom situation and like
that was a great storyline.
Great. Yeah. So we'll see. I think it sucks that they're probably punting Rhea Bianca straight up probably to like Mania of next year, or that'll probably be the next big storyline. But yeah, how do you feel about that? Yeah. The Jake
the Bianca return.
Yeah. Because you were the one who was concerned about how both gets balanced or juggled.
Yeah, and I still didn't love it. Yeah, I didn't love the the way that they played it. I mean, they played it that Bianca was, how could you and having Naomi do the whole "I did it for you, I did it for us" type bit, which was kind of an homage to Rikishi when he did that with the whole thing he did way back in the day with The Rock. But I mean, I didn't like the fact that was, I knew that it wasn't going to be the main focus, and it kind of proved that. It was kind of, they had this conversation, and now then Jade came in and started, beating the crap out of her again, and that was it. Yeah. And so I don't know if they're swerving me, and this is going to end up to where like there's going to be a match or something, or like Jade does get involved, or someone gets involved in Bianca's match at WrestleMania, or if she truly does just kind of fade out of that storyline.
Yeah, I think this is
just Jade versus Naomi revenge tour type match.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm leaning. I think it was interesting when Naomi. I mean, first of all, incredible ring acting on the mic by Naomi. She actually cried real tears, probably because these storylines, it's so funny, but it's like when you're paired up with somebody, you really do spend a ton of time with them, and when these storylines ends, you really do lose somebody.
It's acting.
You spend most. It's not even like acting. I mean, like in real life, I'm saying like these people they do like
sure.
Bianca and Naomi are doing like real press together because they're tag team champs. Like there is like their friendship isn't over in real life, but their amount of time they get to work together at work is getting drastically, your best bud just got put at a cubicle on a different floor than you, like you're not, it's like you're there. So
not going to see as much. Yeah.
There's some realness there. And I think that's what plays, right? I think that was beautiful. I think it was interesting when she was like, "I did this for you. I'm so sad. I'm so sad. I'm not getting what I want." and then she called her a bitch, and it's like, oh, okay, so like you're also manipulative and complicit in this. I think that promo just kind of sealed it to me that I don't think Bianca had anything to do with it, and so in their minds they can just go like Bianca now mentors Jade to get back at Naomi, and then Bianca can focus on trying to get the belt back. And if she doesn't win the belt back, then because we could easily just see Jade just fucking up every opportunity that Naomi has for the next 6 weeks leading up to WrestleMania. That's like super. They don't even have to necessarily fully touch the storyline. The WWE is great about losing an entire month to being like, and Jade's here to remind Naomi that she can't get away with this. It's like they don't, it's like 4 episodes later, she's still doing the same thing. It's like they'll get every ounce of juice out of that squeeze for sure. So
absolutely,
it's like we could get to WrestleMania pretty quickly before that needs to get resolved. So, but I do like the idea. I've said this before. I think Naomi is a strong wrestler, and I think this type of feud with Jade could really get Jade on the level that she needs to be to start being taken seriously as a competent like worker. Because I don't think she's a worker. I don't think she's known for that, and it's pretty obvious. She's a little green in a lot of ways. So
yeah,
she looks great though. God damn, you could tell she was working out that entire time. So good for her.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on Randy Orton coming back? We got that little tease at Elimination Chamber, and he finally.
I like that. I'm trying to figure out, Randy Orton and Punk, like both of them have gone out and like on the mic, and I mean, right, they're both pros, so like they can do this, but the giving their opinions on the John Cena and Rock situation to where their storylines aren't involved with the Rock John Cena has been a little weird to me, right? Like CM Punk came out and on Raw and said like, and just like took the mic, stood up on the announcement table and
called
just said like, I'm here, I'm going to talk. And who should I talk about? And I think it was McAfee that was like, what about The Rock? And he's like, The Rock? You want to hear about The Rock? I'll tell you about The Rock. And just like started going in on him and Cena. And then, Randy Orton comes out and like says shit about them and then talks about Kevin Owens. And it's kind of like, what are they trying to get at that they felt like everyone needs to also bring up their feelings on John Cena and The Rock, if not just to keep it relevant because John Cena is not going to be there.
I think it's 100% because we will not see John Cena. He's booked on some of the European dates, so it's at least 2 more weeks until we see Cena in a ring again. So I think they're just trying to any kind of hit you can get from a big star making a comment. I mean, Randy Orton is a first ballot Hall of Famer. Like he should be talking about this stuff.
Of course, 13 times.
He wasn't actively snubbed by Cena in the way that CM Punk made that claim. And then, with the Seth Rollins, where they just beat each other up all over. So it does feel like they're just going to run that back, right? Is it next week on Raw? There's a fight. Yeah.
I think it's tomorrow. Yeah.
So we'll see. I mean, I'm excited about the road to WrestleMania. It's been cool to watch. I'm excited about all the storylines. I'm excited that did you watch SmackDown on Friday? Are you current?
I actually did. This is the first time I actually caught SmackDown in a while.
Hell yeah.
Raw,
SmackDown. I think it's awesome that Alba Fire is joining the Secret Hervis for Chelsea Green. I thought that was like really interesting. I was like kind of nervous. Michin was about to win that belt. And I just think Chelsea's earned a longer run than just like swapping it back and forth in rubber matches. So that's been like a little interesting. I think it's cool because, Alba Fire and Isla Dawn were tag team champs 8 months ago. And now Isla Dawn was released by the WWE. So it's like this big thing where it's like Alba Fire was the better wrestler of the two. But what is her plan now that her other spooky goth girl, my other spooky goth crush is gone? Oh my gosh.
What are you going to do?
What do you mean? What am I going to do? I'm going to.
She's gone.
Oh, that's fine. There's plenty of attractive people. We're talking Carmelo Hayes. We're talking LA Knight. Just try not to make it so gendered and sound like a creep. But yeah, I think it's interesting. I think it's cool. There's that Scottish connection between Piper and Alba Fire. So that's kind of fun. There's this like non-American outfit protecting the U.S. champion belt right now. I think that's very fun. So
do you think
I think that's
Becky
cool.
Lynch is going to come back before WrestleMania, at WrestleMania, or after WrestleMania?
I think I'd put money on before, simply because I think they'd love to get Becky in the mix with Lyra for the women's IC belt.
Interesting.
Irish mentee mentor type thing.
don't know why, but I'm feeling a Monday after Raw or Monday after WrestleMania
Yeah.
return.
It makes sense. I mean, the cards are getting so stacked. They added enough belts. It's like it's going to be really hard to have
Can't do
matches
everything.
that aren't including belts. And so, yeah, getting that belt taken care of. I could not be less interested in the men's tag teams division and SmackDown.
Yeah.
The
I
War
was like,
Raiders
oh,
rule. I don't know. It's just like I'm so
it's all
so
boring to me.
yeah. It's just kind of boring. I do like it's
You know what I saw the other day too? I saw an old clip of Enzo and Cass,
yeah
and I was like, I miss this. I miss
yeah
this in tag team wrestling where it was like, I know it's about to be a tag team match, but just like the entrance and the attitude of the tag team is what made it all
yeah
brilliant. And God, the way that their like little shindig that they did with Enzo on the mic to begin
yeah
it, like you go back, you watch some of those videos, the places erupted
yeah.
for
He
those
still
two.
does that speech in like the Indies. Kukta, our buddy Josh Kukta, sent me a video of him doing it. What appeared to be like in a parking lot in front of like 80 people, and it was the same
Oh my
juice. So
God.
it
That's
is
so
what it
sad.
is. Yeah, it
That's
is
so
what it
sad.
is. I just
Isn't
like.
Cass in AEW?
I think Cass is in AEW. I don't think Enzo is.
Yeah,
So
yeah. Yeah.
he was the mouth of that duo.
Correct.
It's kind of fun. Shout out to AEW. I got a buddy who wrestles in AEW. Brody King. He's taking. There was like a
Oh
big
yeah.
AEW pay per view this weekend. I think the most interesting female wrestler is in AEW. Actually, Tony Storm, timeless Tony Storm. So I didn't watch it yet. Selfishly or honestly, AEW is something I catch like once I hear the buzz. Like if there's matches worth watching, I'm excited to watch it. So,
Yeah.
but I'll definitely check it out. Yeah, I'm still waiting. I'm curious about the Judgment Day keeps hinting on who's going to be their new member, and it's like it could be it could be Aleister Black, it could be Rusev. I don't think he's going to go by Rusev, but I forget what his real name is, or what his AEW name was.
They need to do something to keep that faction alive.
Yeah, they need to inject it because it's definitely lost all juice, and like losing JD didn't hurt, but
No.
we'll see. We will see.
Yeah.
Finn's got to get on a singles run here too at some point. So it's
so if you're keeping score at home, free agents, we will see. The Bucks,
we will see.
we will see. Brewers, we will see. And WWE, we will see. Also, for next episode, it's going to be on Selection Sunday.
Interesting.
We got some basketball, March Madness we haven't even gotten into, and rightfully so, because I don't really pay attention until the conference tournaments, which are going to be starting any day now. So
yeah,
that is exciting. Looking forward to that.
Yeah, I'm going to find myself way more available to watch these games than I expected. I'm going to be mandated to be on the couch.
Yeah, baby. Yeah.
So
a tradition unlike any other.
A tradition unlike any other. Procedures around there, and you all probably know what I'm talking about. But I'm looking forward to it. And so, the big dance is great. So we'll see. So
yeah, that'll be great. So we'll be talking about that coming up next episode. Plus, we will see on everything we talked about today.
The Packers will have signed people. We can talk about it then.
Yes, they'll sign people, and by then I will learn who the hell they are. All right.
Perfect.
Thank you, John. I appreciate you. I appreciate everyone who continues to watch and listen to us. We love you guys out there, and make sure to tune in next time because we are not done yet.